To drink wine and to taste wine are two very different things. Drinking wine just entails you enjoying your favorite wine, with or without food, with friends, or even just by yourself. But tasting wine means getting to know wine on a more personal and intimate level. And that means, just like with anything, you develop a greater appreciation and love for wine. Hi, I'm Chi, and today I'm going to walk you through how to make the most out of your wine drinking experience. It is pretty straightforward that tasting wine is a part of drinking wine, but when you think about it, tasting wine is not even half of it. This video course will guide you to refine your palate and teach you how to taste wine like you've never tasted it before. If you are a wine connoisseur or if you've actually attended more than your fair share of wine tasting sessions, then you probably have noticed that sommeliers follow the same steps over and over again before they start tasting. What they're doing is they're activating their senses. So find a quiet spot in your home or in your office, preferably with ample lighting. White light is best. And also maybe a place that's devoid of any aromas or strong odors, so your kitchen is out of the question. Sit down, grab a glass, and maybe a clean sheet of paper, white paper preferably. If you don't have that, even a napkin will do or a tablecloth will do as long as it's white. And if you're really serious about tasting, maybe even grab a pen and paper so that you can take down notes. I've actually simplified the steps of tasting wine properly by using the 4 S's. See, swirl, sniff, and sip. I will be tasting a bottle of Banfi Cum Laude with you guys today, and let's begin. I usually start off tasting by using or activating my sense of sight. And I do that first by tilting my wine glass against something white. It could be a sheet of paper or in this case a napkin, and assessing color. It's very, very straightforward. This is a red wine, but other than the color, what are we really assessing when we're looking at wine in the glass? One thing is, you could actually check if there are sediments floating on the wine. If it's white, is it cloudy or is it clear? If there are sediments floating in the wine, does it mean that cork has fallen in when it was being opened? You can actually even assess age. With white wines, for example, the older they get, the darker the color becomes. With red wines, they start off being bright and vibrant, either ruby or violet, and as they get older, they lose the vibrancy of their color. So even before you put your nose inside the glass or take a sip of the wine, you can tell a lot from the wine just by looking at it and seeing it with the use of a white tablecloth or a white sheet of paper. So now that we're done assessing or looking at the color of the wine, its clarity and its condition, it's time to activate our sense of smell. I really like to stick my nose inside the glass, and I do this before I swirl it. Okay, you will get alcoholic fumes because this is wine after all, and this wine that we're tasting is 14% ABV, so high alcohol. After I sniff it for the first time, I like to swirl the glass. Pretend that you're using the stem like a pencil and drawing circles on the table if you're not yet confident to swirl it up high, which you can with practice. What that does literally is that it moves the wine around, it introduces wine to oxygen, and it allows the wine to open up and develop the aromas that make wine tasting a pleasure. So what exactly are you trying to smell or sniff in a glass of wine? Aromas from wine come from mainly 3 things. The first one is the grape variety. The second one is the actual winemaking process, if it's been aged or fermented in oak. And the third is age. So what aromas do you normally expect when you sniff your glass of wine? Well, in the case of this one, I get a lot of black pepper, black plums, cassis, definitely some oak. So I know that there has been the use of oak in fermenting or aging this wine. But you know, this is a 2011. It still smells very youthful, and it actually makes me want to taste it right now. Apart from knowing what to expect, like the things that you really want to smell in wine, sniffing the wine also prepares you for things that you don't want. It will train your nose to pick out certain aromas that you don't want to find in your glass. If you smell damp cardboard, for example, that means that your wine is corked. If you smell varnish or nail polish, chances are that wine has been oxidized or exposed to oxygen. There's also this wild yeast called Brettanomyces that smells like barnyard or animal. Not everybody hates that smell, but there are some people who don't like it. Even before you take your first sip, when you sniff your wine and really get your nose in there, you are preparing yourself for what will hit your palate the moment you take your first sip. So now that you're done smelling the wine, it's time to activate your palate. What I would suggest is you take a more generous sip of the wine than you would in normal circumstances like during dinner. And this is because you want to be able to take a mouthful and swirl the wine around your mouth, making sure that it hits all parts of your tongue. You see, taste receptors are placed in different areas on your tongue. Sweetness is usually felt on the tip. Acidity or the mouth-watering sensation that wine gives can be felt on the sides. The astringency or the tannin you feel at the back. And umami or savoriness you feel all over your tongue. So pretend like you're gargling with your mouthwash in the morning. And with this wine, because it's red, I suggest that you actually chew it. Yes, chew it with your teeth so you can feel how silky or how coarse the tannins are. If you're feeling a little bit more adventurous, this is the time to do what I call a retronasal approach to tasting, which is essentially you doing a reverse whistle, smelling what's inside your mouth before you swallow it. It might sound strange, but if you think about it, when you cannot smell anything, nothing tastes good. That's why when you have a cold, you don't feel like eating. Retronasal tasting of the wine allows you to smell what's inside your mouth before you swallow it. As you can see, wine tasting is not complicated. What we showed you today is just an example of how you can do it. But one thing is for sure, if you make it a habit and you take it seriously and you even take down notes, you can go back to this same bottle in a month or two and you'll find out that it will never taste the same. You can really never taste the same bottle of wine twice. So as you see, tasting wine is a completely unique experience to all of us. But one thing for sure that we will get if we do it every day or regularly, we will all develop a deeper appreciation and love for wine. So, how about you? Do you taste wine to enjoy or do you actually taste wine to evaluate its qualities? Let us know, follow the suggestions that we gave you in this video, and tell us how it has changed your wine tasting experience by leaving a comment in the comment section below. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to subscribe to this channel and hit the bell button to get updates for our next wine courses.